The Saiyans are by far one of the most powerful and versatile alien races within fiction, and seem virtually unstoppable in many situations. Goku and Vegeta alike have overcome evil space emperors, tyrants, diabolical androids, bubblegum, gods of destruction, but most importantly, even marriage itself. On a serious note though, the Dragon Ball universe has never before experienced the genius of a being like Tony Stark, the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. He might seem like a harmless human, but he has created several armors over the years capable of holding its own against Thor, the Hulk, Sentry, and many other powerhouses within the Marvel Universe. Now the question is, if Tony Stark were to face off against the Saiyans and deem them as hostile, would a Saiyanbuster armor do its job to neutralize the threat? What abilities and counters would the armor possess? Would Stark stand a chance against the Saiyans like Goku and Vegeta? Well, let's go ahead and find out.
In time, you will know what it's like to lose.
Now, I know what you guys might be thinking already. Am I actually serious to believe that Iron Man of all people has a chance against the Saiyans? Well, yes I am. Iron Man is definitely not to be underestimated because Iron Man has had dozens upon hundreds of armors that have done their job in competing, damaging, and even surviving attacks against gods, otherworldly beings, aliens, and demons. Now let's get one thing really clear. Iron Man has many armors, but we will mostly cover the 5 core ones like the Bleeding Edge, Extremis, Model 42, Model 51, and lastly, the Endosim armor. So let's go ahead and begin with Extremis, one of his fastest combat speed armors and one of his standards. It actually allows him to process information at light speeds and provides him with healing and EMP system and incredible speed and power, allowing him to temporarily keep up with the Sentry to even be deemed as being fast by him. And keep in mind guys, the Sentry is casually beyond many times faster than the speed of light, and he's right out there with Thor and other characters around that range of power. The Extremis armor has actually kept up in combat with the Sentry and Thor and the Hulk before, so the Extremis armor is like one of the normie armors that Stark has. It's like not even his most advanced one, it is actually one of his fodder armors. Now, it actually allows him to even record the enemy's movements and attacks before they even perform it, so it is even able to basically give Stark a really good combat advantage. Now, as impressive as the Extremis might be, it is actually nothing compared to Stark's overall most effective armor, the Bleeding Edge. The upgrade to Extremis, which actually appeared in Infinity War, albeit with some nanotechnological advancements. Now this armor makes him durable enough to not only take hits from beings like Taurus, who is powerful enough to even stagger and knock back Thor, but he's also been able to take hits from beings like Gladiator, Hulk, Thor, and several other hero level characters who are easily in those star to solar system levels, or basically Cell to Buu Saga levels, if not even higher. Now Tony Stark is definitely not a slowpoke because he was even able to like completely speed blitz and overwhelm the Red Hulk, and even this armor, as amazing as it might be, it is complete fodder to the most advanced armors that we're about to get into. Next up would have to be the Model 42, which has a black and gold finish, and it actually has a lot of capabilities really similar to the Bleeding Edge, but it actually has several suit modes. For example, it has a stealth mode, a space mode, and even like a Hulk out mode, which greatly increases Stark's overall capability in combat, strength, and durability. One of Model 42's best overall feats was when he actually faced off against a raging Hulk with Extremis. Now guys, keep in mind, the Extremis is basically an enhancement that actually greatly increases your combat reaction time, your mental capacity, your intelligence, and even your appearance. So Stark was able to fend off against a Hulk that had the Extremis, so basically it was like an amped Hulk in mental stability, so it wasn't like one that was completely dumb or like a brute. He was actually very conscious of what he was doing, so that is very impressive to be honest. However, the Model 42's best asset would have to be its illusions and also mind resistance, because Stark's illusionary hologram actually appears so real that even dark elves who actually specialize in illusions can actually be tricked by it. For example, Malekith, who is like one of the leaders of the Dark Elves and one of Thor's arch nemesis, he actually fell for these illusions. So even someone who specializes in that kind of stuff still deems like those holograms to be real. So Stark's technology is definitely far ahead of their magic. On top of that, even Malekith was cucking down and even ran away from Tony Stark because he could not do anything to basically bypass his technological prowess. However, keep in mind, Malekith has been able to actually fend off Thor Thor and even make him bleed with his magic. So even hero level characters have had a hard time with this armor, so it is definitely a good thing to keep in mind that Mark 42 has really good capabilities to fend off characters that even Thor would struggle with. Now we're gonna cover this one really quickly because it really isn't that important, but it is the Mark 51, or the Model 51 I mean, and it is my favorite armor overall in terms of aesthetics. I mean, it looks fucking slick as hell, and it has shown several capabilities really similar to that of the Extremis and Bleeding Edge, but it has a few upgrades. Now this armor mainly appeared in Civil War II, which is when Iron Man was facing off against Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel, you know, she might not be as powerful as Thor or Hulk, but she is definitely a really powerful character. So Tony Stark in the Model 51 was able to take several hits from Captain Marvel without even budging, and he wasn't even like fully focused at the time. However, the most impressive part would have to be its energy absorption, which actually overwhelmed Captain Marvel. Now keep in mind, Captain Marvel has been able to actually absorb the power of stars before. For basically Captain Marvel to be overwhelmed by Iron Man's energy is definitely a good feat. I mean, it definitely shows you that Model 51 is definitely a lot more powerful than it might seem. However, it is still not the best armor by far. Now the last core armor that we'll cover is the Endosim armor, arguably one of his best armors overall because it actually has one of the best feats. Now I'm not gonna get into the whole plot of Superior Iron Man, but it's definitely a good comic, and in this reality, Tony Stark is basically more of an anti-hero, or you could even say like kind of like a villain. He was more arrogant, he was definitely more corrupt, and due to that fact, all of his older armors actually wanted to take him down and possibly even kill him because they deemed that the real Tony Stark was too much of a threat for mankind. So guys, remember, even Iron Man's casual armors like Extremis or Bleeding Edge have been able to consistently like contend, damage, and even take hits from Cell to Boo Saga level characters on the regular. And sure, Iron Man was definitely not powerful enough to even severely damage them or even, you know, defeat them, but the main fact is that even with these armors, he can at least contend, you know, he can at least have a chance against them. But regardless, I mean, even Bleeding Edge, Extremis, Model 42, all these armors were all casually destroyed by Superior Iron Man like really insanely fast. He was able to overpower all of them. Now Endosim Iron Man took on dozens of his armors like the Bleeding Edge and stuff like that, but he also dismantled the Hulkbuster in basically no time at all. And keep in mind, the Hulkbuster has actually been able to contend with Hulk several times, and the one that appeared in the World War Hulk storyline actually took a bit of time for Hulk to take down. Sure, Hulk wasn't going at full power, he was, you know, kind of casual, but it still took him a little bit longer to take it down, while Iron Man basically dismantled it like basically in a snap, no time at all. So basically the Endosim armor is not only powerful enough to regenerate from several attacks from all these Iron Mans, but also, I mean, it can dismantle them really quickly, and it also has a Hulk out mode similar to the Model 42, which, you know, greatly amplifies his speed and power and also his durability. So if the Saiyanbuster armor were to be created, it would not only have all these capabilities from these armors like have extreme durability, really great combat speed, illusions and EMP ability, regeneration, healing, stuff like that, but a Cell to Boo Saga level armor is clearly not going to do anything against a God Goku or a God Vegeta. I mean, by far definitely not going to do anything, so we need to dig a little bit deeper into the godly armor systems that Stark has made in the past before, and I mean, would he even stand a chance if we gave him these amplifications? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So the Thorbuster is imbued with Asgardian magic. It allows Stark to counter the Mjolnir hammer, and he can even absorb the mystical energy. So Tony was able to clash and match Thor several times, threatening to destroy everything around them. So, you know, for him to actually hold his own against him for a really good amount of time is definitely impressive, considering that King Thor is more powerful than a standard Thor. Unfortunately, Tony's armor was wiped out in the battle, so he basically wasn't able to defeat Thor in the end, but the matter of the fact is he was able to actually make Thor use a good portion of his power. The main point isn't that Tony Stark can't defeat these enemies, you know, that are Cell to Boo Saga level. It is more so that he can at least contend with them with technology alone without any other enhancements. So the Thorbuster basically has a much greater feat. You could even argue that Endosim has the best feat because it basically fodderized many of these armors at the same time, but this is still not the best armor by far. We're actually about to get into one that's even better than the Thorbuster. However, the next step to the Thorbuster appeared in Fear itself, a storyline dealing with 7 mystical hammers that turned the Hulk, Thing, the Juggernaut, and several other characters enchanted with mystical energies and power. The Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four were all involved in the battle to protect the Earth, but unfortunately they were taking a lot of losses. Even Thor barely managed to defeat like 2 of the enchanted warriors, like Null, which was a Hulk, and also Angrier, the Thing. Like he actually basically, he was able to defeat the Thing, but the Hulk basically took a lot out of him and he barely just won. Unfortunately, the heroes started taking heavy losses and were on the brink of losing. Captain America and the others were like, yeah dude, I don't think we're gonna make it, like these guys are gonna basically wipe out everything. Tony Stark was like, hold up, alright, I got this. So he went to Odin and he's like, okay, so if you're not gonna help us directly, at least let me use your forge so I can create like armors and also, you know, some weapons, so that we may stand a chance against these guys. And Odin's like, okay, fine, whatever. So while Tony Stark was in the forge making armors for the X-Men and himself and also the Avengers, he actually created the Uru armor, an armor system based off of the Bleeding Edge, and actually has some enhancements like the Destroyer armor, and it has really similar properties to that of the Thorbuster, but it is far more powerful and durable. So due to these weapons and armor, this actually allowed Iron Man and the other Avengers to not only actually deal damage to, but also defeat the Enchanted Warriors, many of them who were possibly at Thor level, if not even higher. So it actually allowed Wolverine to not only deal damage to, but even defeat the Enchanted Juggernaut. And keep in mind, Juggernaut is comparable to the Hulk, meaning that he would be at least a planetary level character. Clearly he's more powerful, but I'm just giving you guys a really nice lowball to gauge, you know, how much power Wolverine would have had to gain to even stand a damn chance against this guy. Now Wolverine is typically like a street level character, maybe even city level, but the fact that with this armor and this like weapon enchantment he was able to deal damage to and even like defeat this Enchanted Juggernaut really should give you an idea that like this you know, Asgardian enchantment gives you a really huge amp in battle. Now to get another idea of how massive this amp really is, just look at the special armor and weapon given to Thor by his father Odin, which actually allowed him to not only deal damage to, but even defeat the Serpent, who was actually Odin's brother and had power really comparable to him. Now keep in mind, Odin is like a low multiversal level being comparable to Beerus, so Thor going from like Boo Saga levels to like God of Destruction level with that amp clearly offers a massive boost, and I mean Wolverine proves it even more than that. So introduce the capabilities of the Model 42 stealth option to cast powerful illusions, the Bleeding Edge's regeneration, the lethality of the Endosim, and the Asgardian amp, and you have one really impressive armor that Goku and Vegeta would undoubtedly have a lot of trouble putting down. The powered Cosmic would also give Stark a really huge like advantage in battle over the alien invaders. Now it would not be a Saiyanbuster armor if it did not try to exploit the weaknesses of the Saiyans. For example, we do know that Goku and Vegeta need air or oxygen to actually breathe. We saw a couple of examples of this when Goku fought against Frieza and he was actually trying to drown him on Earth, and also when they fought on Namek originally, Frieza was like, hey, like I can breathe in space but you can't, so if Goku was in the vacuum of space and he would not be able to breathe and essentially he would die. So Tony Stark could very well win by actually asphyxiating them if he really needed to. Now this is not like the best weakness overall, but it is definitely still something that Tony Stark could very well exploit, and that is the fears that Goku and Vegeta have. For example, we do know that according to the Namek saga, Goku has a fear of needles. Like when Gohan and Krillin were trying to heal him, he was like, get that thing away from me, I don't want anything to do with that needle. Now in Z filler, I'm not too sure if it's in Kai, we do learn that when Goku and Vegeta were in Buddha's body, that Vegeta is actually scared of worms. So if Tony Stark really wanted to get under their skin and exploit their weaknesses, he could very well use those illusions to look really lifelike and catch him off guard and, you know, possibly get a couple of attacks in. Now last but not least, the Power Cosmic does allow for matter manipulation, and he could actually manipulate like the molecules, the genes, or even the S cells within Goku and Vegeta. Now we do know that according to Akira Toriyama that Saiyans need a certain amount of S cells to transform into a Super Saiyan. So if Tony Stark really wanted to, he could reduce or even remove the S cells entirely from Goku and Vegeta, which would basically hinder their ability to transform into a Super Saiyan, and obviously their power and their speed and durability would greatly decrease over time if they could not transform. Now the question is, would Iron Man be able to defeat a Super Saiyan Blue Goku and a Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta through raw power alone? Maybe not. Iron Man does have some limitations, but the Power Cosmic and the Asgardian Amp could very well open up a couple of victories for him if he exploits the aforementioned weaknesses. Now a couple ways that Goku and Vegeta could win is by trying to overwhelm Stark and his defenses, blitzing his reaction time, and maybe even waiting for his suit's energy levels to actually decrease. Unfortunately for Stark, his suits do have a limited amount of energy, but through the Power Cosmic it is very well that he could have near limitless amount of energy, so he could very well possibly even outlast his Saiyans, because Goku and Vegeta in their maximum forms, they cannot fight in it for a long period of time, but I mean, who knows. On another note, Stark could also actually absorb the ki from Goku and Vegeta because, as I proved, he can actually absorb mystical energy from Thor. So he could very well absorb ki and even amplify his own power with it. Stark has made several amazing concepts for armors that might seem really unrealistic. For example, we have the God Killer, we have the Celestial Armor, we have the Phoenix Killer, and also the Galactus Buster. So essentially, a Saiyanbuster is very possible to happen. But anyways guys, tell me what you think. Do you believe that Tony Stark would actually have a chance against Goku and Vegeta, or would he be utterly stomped out by them? Please let me know, and I'll have to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll catch you thotties next time. Peace out.